Butler University began with a bold idea. An abolitionist attorney in pre-Civil War America believed that higher education should be available to all people, regardless of race, gender, or religious affiliation. Ovid Butler was so convinced of the value of equal access to education that he donated 20 acres of his own land for the school's original campus at the corner of 13th Street and College Avenue. Butler University opened its doors on November 1, 1855, to an inaugural class of 20 students, and these founding values of inclusivity, innovation, and philanthropy shaped our earliest days. We've been asking questions, pursuing original ideas, and pushing boundaries ever since. In 1867, Ovid Butler established the Demia Butler Chair in English Literature, the first endowed chair in the country specifically designated for a female professor. In 1922, 7 African American educators and Butler students founded the Alpha Chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho, known internationally today as one of the Divine Nine historically African American Greek organizations. In 1928, preparing for a move to our current campus at 46th Street and Sunset Avenue, Butler University constructed the largest basketball arena in the United States. In 1953, James Irving Holcomb donated funds to acquire the state's largest telescope for Holcomb Observatory, where students could study the night sky. As Butler grew, it merged with Eliza Blaker's Teachers College of Indianapolis, the Jordan College of Music, the Indianapolis School of Pharmacy, and added a School of Business and a College of Communication. Our progress has not happened by accident. Since our founding in 1855, Butler University has been shaped by a long history of innovative ideas, forward-thinking leaders, and visionary philanthropists. All of the traditions we celebrate today are the result of a bold leap into the unknown at some point in our past. The inspiration to pioneer new frontiers is embedded in our university DNA. It's who we are. It's what has led us here. And now, it's what compels us to look to what's beyond.
This institution was founded on the idea that access to education would improve the lives of individuals and their community, and that higher learning should be available to all who desire to pursue it. This bold idea is just as relevant and compelling today as it was in 1855, and it is very much alive in the vision you will hear tonight.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2019 State of the University Address and Difference Maker Awards. It's great to see so many familiar faces in the crowd, but for those who don't know me, my name is Sandhu. I'm a Butler grad and chair of the Butler Board of Trustees. As I watch the videos and the highlights from Saturday's event, I'm just blown away by what an amazing evening that was, and for my sincere thanks to everyone who had a role in making that happen, especially our advancement team. A special shout out to them. I know worked so hard to make that night memorable. We have a past, present, and future focused on academic excellence, inclusivity, innovation, and a learning environment that helps our students to grow and have meaningful lives and careers after graduation. And we are moving Butler Beyond from a position of unprecedented strength. And the reason we're in this position is you, our faculty and staff. Your talent and dedication are the heart of this institution. And Butler President Jim Danko exemplifies the special kind of leadership that makes our university so special. On Saturday, Jim shared his excitement for meeting the Presidential Search Committee in 2011. And Jim, yes, we were distracted. The Butler Bulldogs were on a tournament run. But I want to tell you, I was on that search committee, and the feeling was very mutual. We were very excited to have the pleasure to meet Jim. And I remember during the meeting, during Jim's very first interview, I wrote on a piece of paper, this is going to be our new president, and slid that piece of paper over to one of my fellow trustees and good friends, Keith Burks. So, so glad you took the position and that we are where we are. After taking the helm, Jim has led the development and execution of the Butler 2020 strategic plan. He did so with a style we've all become familiar with integrity, extremely high expectations of himself and others, the presumption of yes, non-stop forward motion, and the empowerment of others to develop new ideas and to run with them. Through the course of Butler 2020, he strengthened the university's academic and administrative leadership team. He created incentives to encourage a culture of innovation, advanced diversity and inclusivity, and improved and expanded the campus and its learning, residential, athletic, and performance spaces, and significantly increased the level of financial aid Butler provides to students and their families. In addition, he established Butler as an anchor institution within the city of Indianapolis, successfully advocated for the university to become part of the Big East Athletic Conference, and oversaw the most robust fundraising years in Butler's history. Last week, following the groundbreaking for the new sciences complex, Jim publicly introduced Butler Beyond, the university's new strategic plan and $250 million capital campaign fund. In addition to all these attributes and accomplishments, over the last 8 years, Jim has become a dear friend. I've gotten to see past all of his public activities to the guy who comes from Cleveland, Ohio, and still roots for the Browns. We got to get you some help there, Jim. I see in Jim somebody who cares deeply about the Butler community and works tirelessly to make sure all the voices in that community are heard. Jim is now a newfound dog lover who takes Daisy for a walk on campus every evening to visit with students and see how they're doing. He has 2 wonderful daughters and an incredible personal and professional partnership with his wife, Bethany, who is also a dear friend and a most graceful First Lady for Butler University, and who acts according to his Jesuit ideals that formed him as a person and a leader. For all of those reasons and many more, I am delighted to announce that the Butler University Board of Trustees has unanimously voted to extend the contract of President Jim Danko for another 5 years until 2024. Please join me in welcoming Jim to the podium now to share with us the state of our university. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Jay. Good afternoon to you all. Thanks for coming out on this beautiful Friday afternoon. So great to see you. We've had a lot of big events on campus, so we know we're taking a lot of time, but we are at such an important point in the history of Butler University that it's good that we've been able to focus some attention, as we did last week and today, on where we are going as a university. I certainly want to express my gratitude to the board and the Butler community for the opportunity to lead this institution for another 5 years. Together, we have achieved great progress. I believe, though, that we could achieve even greater, higher levels of success as we work toward our shared vision. I am curious as I look out there. I know that I've seen many of you since my arrival, but I am curious if you were part of the Butler community back in 2011, August 2011 specifically when I arrived. Would you put your hand up? I want to see what kind of turn. Okay, well, keep your hands up for a minute. Keep them up if you believe that I'd still be here 8 years later. A few. I'm going to leave that one open to interpretation, but let me assume that many of you realize that nowadays the average term of a university president is 6.5 years. So I am delighted to have achieved the status as above average, something that would surprise the many grade school teachers who warned my parents to the contrary, frankly. And I do admit the job As many of yours, I suspect, has its highs and lows. This past Saturday was an extreme high. It was such a fantastic event to see our students perform up on the stage, and as they did down in the orchestra pit, to hear the speakers that were up on the stage talking about Butler, to see these great videos. We're going to show you a couple of them, assuming some of you haven't seen them, but to hear some of the speakers on our videos talk about the history and progress of Butler over the years was really, really a high, and so many people have come up to me and expressed that. But I will tell you, there's the other side sometimes. After the event, Bethany and I decided to walk down to the green room, and we wanted to thank and acknowledge our students who were in the orchestra that night playing. And so as we approached them, a student came up to me and she said how glad she was to see me, and then she went on to tell me that she was deeply disappointed that she was unable to park in the AV lot during basketball games. I thought she was going to tell me about how she appreciated, the experience, and so great to be there. Although I have to say, she made a good point, Frank. If you could check into that, I'm not sure what that's about. But it does kind of underscore the larger point that I have felt in my 8 years here. As president, you're often given credit for things that are not necessarily your own doing. It's the doing of so many other people that work across the university, and I'm just the front person for that. And on the other hand, you end up taking responsibility for some things that you may not even know is happening. So it's a very interesting position to be in, but I am so proud to be doing this and to continue this work moving into the future. I will tell you, as I get into some more of my more prepared remarks here, that the state of the university is in a great place, especially as indicated by our placement rates and the career and life success that we're seeing from our students and from our alumni. We indeed at Butler University are making a major impact locally and globally, and so I thank you for that. At the same time, as we've heard in so many different venues in the past few months, even a couple years, there are so many complex challenges out there that private institutions like Butler University are confronting, from the shifting demographics to the nationwide focus on the cost of education, and those pressures are greater than they have ever been. In today's address, I'd like to highlight a few things here, just to share with you some of what we're going to do. I want to give you a bit of a summary, since it is the state of the university, of some of our accomplishments over this last year. Some highlights of Butler 2020, as we are approaching the namesake year, and also a bit on our strategic vision and some of the actions we hope to take with our Butler Beyond strategy. We're also going to recognize in this event our difference makers a bit later on in the program. Turning to the academic side, though, our students continue to show that the education they're receiving here is outstanding. We had 4 Fulbright winners and 3 Fulbright UK recipients, and many semifinalists as well. This past year, 5 collegiate students won Mark of Excellence awards from the Society of Professional Journalists. Our mock mediation team, coached by Jim McKnight and Jerry Pitt, traveled to Georgia just last week and won first place in 2 categories, which placed us ahead of 22 other academic teams, which is really an outstanding result for Butler. I recently had the opportunity to visit with some of our students in New York and Washington, D.C., where we have about 20 students right now who are participating in our semesters in those particular cities. And I heard some great stories of some of the internships and some of the opportunities that they're having while they are there. Also, over the last academic year, a record 712 students studied abroad for credit, which is up 34% from the previous year. In addition, Butler has moved up from 17th to 9th in the nation in a category for percentage of undergrad participation in study abroad, as ranked by the Institute of International Education, which again bodes quite well for the education of our students. On the student athlete front, 5 of Butler's athletic teams were recognized by the NCAA this past May for their academic achievement. Based on their academic progress rates, these teams have earned public recognition awards for posting scores in the top 10% for their sports. Of course, the heart of Butler's educational mission is our outstanding faculty. I've often said that the success of Butler is quite simple. We just put great students with great faculty. We support them with great staff. It seems that almost on a weekly, if not daily basis, we learn of a new faculty accomplishment, be it in teaching or research. I've got a couple examples of the far too many to cite in a speech of this short, but I'll point out that Alex Erkin in Coffs received a 3-year research grant of over $700,000 from the National Science Foundation. And his project focuses on using bioinformatics and artificial intelligence to develop new approaches in personalized medicine and drug development. Krista Klein in LAS and Eileen Taylor in CCOM received a grant of nearly $400,000 from the National Federation of State High School Associations to study the role of mothers in the success of their high school students' athletic and leadership activities at school. This past fall at the this fall academic workshop this past August, Provost Kate Morris announced the winners of the Distinguished Faculty Awards. I'd like to invite her to join me, if she could, so we can recognize the recipients of these important awards. Kate, our marvelous provost, Kate Morris.
Thank you. I can, in fact, join him on the stage. I was able to walk here. Thank you for the opportunity to, again, recognize our faculty winners. Each year at the Fall Academic Workshop, which is every year in August, right before the school year begins, I announce these Distinguished Faculty Award winners, and this is an award that recognizes excellence in the combined areas of teaching, research, scholarship, and creative work, and service and leadership, and recognizes the achievements and accomplishments of the faculty across the span of their career. And this year we had 2 winners of the Distinguished Faculty Award. The first one is Dr. Ena Shelley, who is Dean Emerita and Professor Emerita in the College of Education. And we all know and love Ena, and we're sad that she has moved on from Butler, but wish her all the best in her retirement. I have a brief citation that I'd like to read about her. She became a member of the Butler community in 1982. She served as the Dean of the College of Education for over 14 years. She's an internationally recognized scholar in the field of early childhood education. She oversaw the development of 2 laboratory schools within the Indianapolis public schools. And in 2016, Dr. Shelley received the Edward C. Pomeroy Award for Outstanding Contributions to Teacher Education from AACTE, which is the highest national honor for teacher education. On our campus, she has received the Mortarboard Society's Excellence in Teaching Award 8 times. And although she is not here with us, I think she deserves a round of applause for her 2019 Distinguished Faculty Award. Our other Distinguished Faculty Award winner is here with us today, and she is Dr. Tara Lineweaver, Professor of Psychology in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. We did this once before in August, where she stood here. This citation is a little shorter than the last one. Tara already received her certificate and an actual physical award. Tara is a graduate of Butler University, and she joined our faculty in 2003. In addition to her faculty work, she serves as the director of our very popular neuroscience minor. She's an outstanding teacher and has been a faculty leader in the development and delivery of cross-disciplinary team-taught courses within our core curriculum. She's also one of Butler's most prolific scholars, having published over 50 peer-reviewed journal articles or book chapters on topics like neurodegenerative disorders, dementia, healthy aging, epilepsy, and pedagogy. She seamlessly integrates her research with her teaching, And as evidence of that, of her publications so far, 17 have included Butler undergraduate students as co-authors. She's mentored approximately 50 students in honors thesis, independent study, Butler Summer Institute, and other research projects. And over the years, she has received 15 Apple for You awards. So please join me in congratulating Dr. Tara Lineweaver on her 2019 Distinguished Faculty Award.
Thank you, Kate, and congratulations, Tara, for your fine work. There are so many people, and later we'll do the Difference Maker Awards as well to recognize our staff. Whenever you do these awards, it is so difficult. We have so many great, talented faculty and staff here, so these are the ones currently that we're recognizing. Two other academic grants I'd like to mention include the $400,000 Freeman Foundation continuation grant to the Center for Global Education in support of the Butler in Asia Summer Internship Program for the next 2 years. This is our fourth grant from the Freeman Foundation, which has awarded us to date $1.1 million in funding to support students on internships in Asia. In the next 2 years, we will place 72 students in China, Singapore, and next summer for the very first time in Japan. Julia Engstman, director of the Center for Urban Ecology, received a 3-year grant from the National Science Foundation of nearly $600,000 to continue efforts that utilize the campus farm to enhance student learning. So we are really very fortunate. Those are just some selection of the many grants and accolades and so forth that come to our distinguished faculty and people on the academic side. I'm also pleased to report that we are making great progress in the development of new and innovative and relevant academic programs. The data science minor was introduced in fall 2018 and is supported by all 6 of our colleges. We launched the Master of Risk and Insurance program this past summer. In spring 2020, our new Doctor of Medical Science program will begin. And in summer 2020, our new Master in Management program will begin. So I really appreciate the efforts of so many of you in making those programs a reality and getting those launched soon. From an institutional reputation perspective, let me just put out there a few of the highlights that have happened in the last year or so. In the most recent U.S. News and World Report rankings, Butler achieved the #1 spot among Midwest regional universities. This was the 2nd consecutive year, and we were also named the most innovative school for the 5th consecutive year. For the 2nd year in a row, Butler is one of the nation's best institutions for undergraduate education, according to the prestigious Princeton Review. College Magazine named Butler's dance department #3 in the country for 2019 behind Juilliard and NYU. That's a publication, by the way, by students, so it is quite relevant to their education. Our pharmacy program was 4th in the nation for pass rate on the 2018 National Licensure Examination. Turning to the physical campus itself, we continue, as you know, to invest considerable time and energy in improvements and enhancements to our campus. Let me, though, take a moment as I walk campus with Daisy. I see on a nightly basis all the work that's happening, and believe me, when you add new facilities on a campus, it means there's a lot more buildings to take care of and lawn to maintain and on, and when you expand, as we have to the Christian Theological Campus as well. So I do want to take a moment to acknowledge and thank our colleagues in the facilities area who really do work tirelessly, especially as we have expanded on campus. Could we give them a round of applause? As you know, if not, I'm not sure where you've been, but the LSB building opened last month and is operating. Last week, we broke ground, as many of you know, and participated in a long overdue project, the $100 million expansion and renovation in the sciences. So that is becoming a reality. And now that I'm here for 5 more years, it better become a reality, right? So we will make sure that continues. Also, little things are happening around campus that sometimes are great when you see them. I had the opportunity to teach a bit of a staff course this last spring, and we do have in the library this instruction lab and quiet study space, a classroom that we've done. So quite a bit of work has been going on in places around campus, including the library, so we're pleased to see the progress there. At the same time, I want to acknowledge, and this is something we've talked about quite a bit across the leadership team, when you put up these new buildings and you make enhancements in certain areas, it perhaps makes those other areas that aren't quite there stand out a bit more, and it becomes a little discouraging sometimes for those people that are within them. I'm quite cognizant of that. It's a conversation Bruce and Doug and Kate and myself have been having over the last few months, and know that this is very much on our agenda and kind of in the spotlight. So we'll continue to make investments across campus to the best of our ability. So I appreciate those that sometimes don't get to be in the brand new space as others are getting to appreciate. On the financial side, we've had another very positive year, thankfully, due to our growing enrollments and very prudent management of our budgets. We found just about every area on campus came in under budget this year, and I'm so grateful for your efforts to that end. As a result of those budget surpluses, we've been in a better position than ever to make meaningful reinvestments in our students, faculty, staff, and campus environment, and the educational experience, obviously. Let me share with you some highlights, though, on the topic of our most important advantage, our talented people. We have made progress. We always could make more progress, though, but we have made progress in the last couple years in addressing some of the compensation inequities and rewarding high performers as a result of some of our additional resources. I'm also very pleased to announce, based on where we're at right now, that last week the Board of Trustees approved a raise pool of 2% and an additional 0.5% for equity adjustments as well. So we're in a position to continue that as we have also for the last few years. We have other things that are happening that I hope people are taking advantage of to the extent they can. Over this past year, 20 staff and 14 faculty members have participated in the Indianapolis Neighborhood Housing Partnership Program. This program at Butler has provided nearly $360,000 to those individuals for either home purchases or exterior home repairs in an area that bounds Butler University. We actually expanded that boundary a bit a couple months ago so we could expand the number of people participating in that. So that's a program to be aware of if you want to live close to campus. The Great Colleges to Work For survey results were recently received back. There's reams of data, but preliminary review reflects significant improvements over the survey we did a couple years ago. The HR group is working through some of the data and is going to be soon making some presentations across campus so others could see the results, both for the areas that we've improved, but I would say more importantly, identifying those areas where we want to continue to make progress moving forward. In 2020, I'm pleased to say that we are going to reduce, this is very unusual, we are going to reduce our healthcare insurance premium rates on the PPO core plan and the CDHD plan by 2% each. And that's, again, as a result of some of the savings that we've been able to get in that area. And if you didn't see this, I'm not sure we put enough splash on this one. I'm pleased to announce that effective January 1st, the university is going to waive HRC memberships fee for all full-time faculty and staff. So please, go to the HRC. I also want to make a final point when I talk about our talented faculty and staff. And that is in the area of the importance of living out the ideals that go back to the very founding of this university that reflected in the video that you saw at the beginning. And that's specifically we're a university where we celebrate diversity, strive for equity, and embrace inclusivity. We've seen an increase in diversity across a number of dimensions at our university. For example, the student body. This year, 19% of students in the entering class identified as multicultural. That's 2 years in a row where we saw a much better percentage increase than we have prior to that. For the sake of comparison, that number was less than 9.7% in 2011. So we are now up to 19%. So I'm pleased to see that progress. I really want to thank the enrollment management team and faculty and staff members across campus that have contributed to those positive enrollment efforts. I'm hopeful that new initiatives and investments in the area of diversity will continue to lead to even more positive outcomes. For example, some of you know that we this last year created a new Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion with Dr. Gina Forrest as the Executive Director. Gina, are you here? Where's Gina? There you are, Gina. Thank you. Welcome. We're glad to have you. I had an opportunity to spend some time with Gina and her new staff in the Ephraimson Diversity Center and was very impressed with the physical improvements that have made it much more inviting, particularly for our students, and I'm encouraged by the plans that they have underway for new programs and services. It started right with the new class. We expanded our Dog Days pre-orientation program to include students of color, students from the LGBTQ community, and first-generation students. Each new student in the program is assigned a multicultural student mentor to help support them as they transition into the university and throughout their first year. We certainly find, as we've seen areas for improvement when we're dealing with diversity issue, is the need to support our students in a much bigger way. So I'm glad to see those efforts. I also know that good work is happening in our academic division under the leadership of Dr. Terry Jett, who serves as special assistant to the provost for diversity and inclusivity. For example, all faculty search committees must now have a trained inclusion advocate to ensure we are thoughtful about creating equitable and inclusive search processes for all candidates. So far, over 70 faculty members representing all 6 colleges and the libraries have gone through day-long training. We are making a difference also as a community resource. For example, in the past year, under Aaron Hurt's leadership, the Butler Arts Center has increased diversity programming, which features underrepresented performers or targets underrepresented audience members. We've moved from 25% to 45% in that area. So our progress is very encouraging, but we have to and we will continue to do even better as we make diversity, equity, and inclusion a deliberate and central aspect of our work across all areas of the university. From the accomplishments of our students and faculty to the significant progress being made on our campus environment, from the strengths of the Butler brand and enrollments to our sound fiscal management, I hope that you can see the clear evidence, as I do, that the state of Butler University is stronger than ever. I'd like to just pause for a moment rather than detail everything we've done in the 2020 plan so we can move on to the new one, since we put together a great video that really captures a lot of progress that we made this past Saturday. I want to make sure that everybody's had a chance to see that. So with that, I show you another video from this past Saturday evening. Roll it.
I think part of what Butler did was not only show they had good basketball players, but they had good students. So they were the right kind of team, not just a winning team, but a really representative team for Butler. As you probably know, the number of applications skyrocketed, the general goodwill, the whole halo effect on the university was because of that sports program.
The trustees saw an opportunity to seek a leader that would have a vision for opportunity and what we could make Butler into. And clearly there's a very, very strong can-do attitude at Butler right now. And that's credit goes to Jim Danko.
Well, you know, Butler at the time was one of those perfect fits in terms of the opportunity, the needs of the institution, what the trustees were expecting in the next president, what the community was expecting in the next president, and my own career path up until that point. The Butler 2020 plan was very much premised on recognizing that was an opportunity in time, and we needed to leverage that success for the greater good of the university.
Jim, given his background, talked about innovation from the day he was on campus, and it is simply looking for new opportunities, new ways of educating people.
Well, I think we've been very smart about how we have changed the university. One always has to look to the future and say, this is a new generation. What are their needs? What are the jobs going to look like in the future?
We opened the Schrott Center for the Performing Arts. We've opened 2 new residence halls. So those are things that we've done to invest in the infrastructure so that students really have a phenomenal experience.
There's shared workspaces, there's shared study spaces, there's shared living spaces, how they think and move and form communities and innovate.
We've gotten attention in recent years in the media for being a very innovative place. Butler has already set a good example for a lot of our peer institutions of what's possible in the world of higher education.
When I was here, there was no HRC or rec center. There was no junior apartment village, which there is now. Somebody had to have the vision, and obviously you had to have the support. It gives you an excitement about the next steps for Butler.
The enthusiasm of our faculty to continue to lean in and move forward and be the very best teachers they can be with the best knowledge that we have about how good teaching happens. I think that's another exemplar of something that's come out of Butler 2020.
As the years have gone by, we watch the community within the arts grow. We watch the community in the sciences and in athletics. We watch things happen around us and among us.
The growth has been breathtaking and positive, and it has allowed Butler to do all sorts of things that we wouldn't have been able to do without it.
In all aspects, it is our way to stay competitive.
You can just see, how it's continued to even get better. It's continued to evolve. It's continued to push those boundaries that are important. And I'm very proud of that.
But the surprise would be that it's still the same spirit. Have a common goal, that they care about one another. All of those things, I think, are part of that Butler way.
It probably goes without saying, but it's an exciting place that we are right now, and we should be building on that, and that's our plan.
Thank you. Indeed, we can take great pride in our accomplishments, but a great university like Butler simply cannot stand still. We cannot rest on our laurels. It's not wise, and it's not who we are as a community. Butler University was founded on the premise that we must challenge the status quo and seek answers to some of the big problems facing the world. And so we must ask ourselves now, what barriers do we confront? What new frontiers in higher education should we explore? Which problems are we at Butler uniquely positioned to solve? Butler's mission and our role in the community remain as relevant as ever, but only if we are willing to be bold and take risks in pursuing programs, partnerships, and initiatives that may look very different from what is familiar to us now. We have spent as a community many months engaged in a strategic planning process, understanding the challenges that confront higher education generally and Butler University specifically. Unlike my own experience in strategic planning and vision formulation, and much different than what we did when we developed the Butler 2020 plan, the world around us is moving too quickly to develop the perfectly articulated, multi-year, well-defined plan that dictates our every move for the next 5 years. Rather, we need to do a plan that allows us to be more nimble and flexible in our efforts and open to change, which I know can sometimes be a bit frustrating. However, we do have a clear vision that ensures we're pointed in the right direction when it comes to educational quality, outcomes, and expectations. Building on the theme of tradition plus innovation, something supported by the Butler University Board of Trustees last March at their retreat and announced to the Butler community in April, we identified that the core of our new strategy is educating multiple learners, different types of students, if you will. And since that time, you've no doubt heard discussion of the 3 broad educational paths or models: traditional, lifelong learning, and founding mission. I'm pleased that over the past few months, I have actually frequently heard mention of these three models in meetings. I've learned about several new initiatives that we historically may not have pursued that our creative faculty, staff, and deans are now discussing because they could align with one of the new models of education. And I'm constantly being asked by community partnerships right here in Indianapolis how they could help engage in each of these areas. All of this signals to me that we have a campus community ready to take action in pursuit of our vision. I want to share some thoughts with you that I hope provide greater guidance on how we move forward as an organization in achieving our new strategic direction. First, I want to outline a series of strategic commitments. Over the past 18 months, we've shared quite a bit of data with our campus community and hosted outside speakers that have talked to the challenges facing higher education. This has reinforced the need to have a set of strategic commitments that serve as the foundation for our new strategic direction. In some ways, you can think of these as the guardrails for considering what we should or should no longer do at Butler as we move forward. Those are on the screen behind me. Hopefully, you can see the 5 strategic commitments that reflect really the words and reminders that I have heard from many of you over the past year during our community discussions. As we move forward, we are challenging ourselves to look at everything we do through these 5 commitments. That said, commitments and new paths of education are not enough. We need to define our priorities and take action. The first of the 3 priorities, let's push ahead to there we go, the traditional educational model. So let me go down these 3 models that I presented to you a moment ago. The first 3 priorities on this traditional educational model, and by the way, these are out on the website. You don't have to take notes. You'll find it on our strategy website. But there's three past priorities listed on this particular slide that relate specifically to the traditional academic experience. Let me share some examples of the types of action we can take. With respect to increasing academic options for greater access, affordability, and employability, here are some actions we can pursue in the coming year. And I know some of these, by the way, are under discussion. Develop and implement at least 10 options for earning degrees in 3 years for undergraduate students. Develop and implement 1 to 2 master programs that are built upon the 3+1 model of education, 3 undergrad years, 1 advanced year. Create at least 2 articulation agreements with community colleges or other feeder institutions for transfer students. Develop at least 1 new dual degree program with a partner institution. Those are just some examples of so many that I believe we could think of in our traditional educational model. And the second priority area listed there, which is around ensuring the curriculum, pedagogy, and programs offered meet the evolving needs of our students and employers, action we could take in that area would be to review the core curriculum and ways that we can infuse more innovation within that curriculum. The fourth priority area on this graph focuses on a student's overall well-being and learning outside of the classroom. So, for example, we'll continue to build upon the very successful Be Well framework. That, by the way, that program, thanks to Frank Ross's leadership, is getting national attention. We're very pleased with that, and it's an area we really believe we could build upon. The last 3 priority areas within this slide focus, frankly, on our financial and operational model. We've got to continuously work to push ourselves ahead when it comes to being efficient so that we can deliver a highly effective education. The next path that we've talked about, the lifelong learning, the founding mission slides, you're going to notice a little bit less in the list of priorities. In some respects, those lie ahead of us a bit more than our current here and now traditional model. Our priority, though, in both of those areas is to move thoughtfully. Yet we have to move expediently given the changing culture of higher education today. In the lifelong learning model, That's a concept of providing learning experiences beyond our traditional undergraduate education. That's certainly not necessarily new to Butler University. As previously mentioned, one of our accomplishments this past year was the creation and launch of 2 new master's degree programs. We have also added several certificate offerings through executive education. And while we've made progress in those areas, I do believe, I believe offering educational programs beyond our traditional programs is a tremendous growth opportunity for Butler. The needs for lifelong education and new skills will only increase as existing careers are impacted and new careers emerge thanks to the advancements in technology. Butler must be in a position to pursue new opportunities as they emerge and proactively identify and develop new offerings to meet emerging advanced learning needs. While this would include master's programs, there will also be opportunities for non-credit credentials, corporate training, and even the development of custom educational programs in collaboration with partner organizations. A priority in the coming year will be to build a comprehensive strategy for lifelong learning and a new underlying organizational and operating model to support significant growth in this area. Our third area of focus is recommitting ourselves to our founding mission by aggressively exploring new educational models that are more accessible and affordable. We currently invest over $78 million in student financial aid annually, and even with a robust financial aid program of this size, there are still many deserving students who simply cannot afford to attend Butler University. We must find a way beyond financial aid to solve the issue of affordability. In the spirit of our founding mission, we must remove the financial barriers that are excluding promising students who wish to pursue a higher learning experience from Butler. In the first year of our new strategic direction, our priority is to truly understand the needs of these learners and then generate and explore ideas that may meet those needs. I suspect some of what we're going to learn in that process is that we will need to think differently about where, how, and with whom we deliver a Butler learning experience. Could we develop a model that starts in high school and provides an integrated work and learn educational experience supported by employers? Could Butler collaborate with other community-minded organizations or universities to provide educational experiences and outcomes that ultimately result in a Butler quality degree? These are just a handful of things we must pursue in this coming year. We also recognize that in order to move in new and a bold direction, we must support our campus and our organization. For that reason, we have several strategic priorities that we're focused on. I've mentioned some of these organization priorities earlier in my comments, such as in the area of diversity and campus planning, but let me highlight just a couple more. We need to enhance our research and analytical capabilities to better support data-informed decision-making. I'm pleased to announce we are already making progress on this priority with the recent hire of a new director for the Office of Institutional Research and Assessment, the creation of an IT data team, and our investment in a new higher education artificial intelligence startup company. You're also going to be hearing more about the launch of a new university-wide innovation lab as a key step in the establishment of the new entity that I announced during our April meeting. A priority for us is in the competitive higher education landscapes we are confronting is to ensure we are assessing and advancing new educational and revenue-generating ideas and opportunities forward as quickly as possible. We have an ambitious vision for this university, and of course, we also have an ambitious campaign to support our vision. I've referenced the campaign launch that occurred this past Saturday, which I know many of you attended, and if not, I hope you do take an opportunity to view it online. It was truly an evening that made us all proud. I want to acknowledge, as did Jay, the outstanding work of our advancement team that put countless hours in over the past year to prepare for the campaign launch, and who are going to be working hard in the coming years to ensure the success of that campaign. If we have members of the advancement team here, because I know you've been working around the clock, could you just stand up and we'll give you a round of applause? Thank you so much for your work. There's also two advancement leaders I'd like to acknowledge. One is Betsy Weatherly, who is not here today, taking a much-deserved vacation. Betsy was certainly critical to the success of the event and has been involved in this for at least a year or two. The other key leader who is here today is our Vice President, Jonathan Purvis, and I asked him if he could just take a few minutes and share with us his perspective and how the campaign fits in with the vision that we've set forth here today. Jonathan?
Thank you, President Danko. Saturday was indeed a tremendous moment for Butler, and I'm grateful to the many members of the Butler community who attended, 1,200 all told. I'd also be remiss if I didn't just call out a few of our partner entities around the university. Saturday would not be possible without our partners at the Butler Arts Center, University Events, the Jordan College of the Arts, our marketing and communication colleagues, and of course, every one of my cabinet colleagues, and in particular, Melissa Beckwith, who really was just a critical partner in ensuring that the campaign was really secondary to making sure that we were driving forward the strategic priorities and the academic mission of the university. So thanks to those and so many others that made Saturday such a success. Many of you were able to participate in that, but for those of you that did not, we have a brief video that kind of captures the spirit of what that was all about.
Thank you for all your support and dedication to Butler University. So with that, go Dogs! Butler Beyond will blend the very best of our past with our highest aspirations for the future.
I thought it was absolutely incredible.
Tonight's event was awesome. Let's take Butler Beyond!
Saturday's event was both a celebration of what has been accomplished in the quiet phase of the campaign, but of course also the formal launch of the work ahead. Quiet phase fundraising began June 1st, 2015, it seems like a long time ago, and was very much focused on supporting the successful conclusion of the Butler 2020 strategic plan. Thus, we raised $60 million in capital support to complete renovations in Hinkle Fieldhouse, build the new home for the Lacy School of Business, and break ground on the Sciences renovation and expansion project. Of course, along the way, we also raised $30 million in scholarship support for students and $80 million in general operating, programmatic, and faculty support. That's over $171 million raised to date. Thank you. As we now look to the future, the public phase of the campaign will focus on fundraising priorities strategically aligned with the new strategic direction for the university. These three campaign pillars represent our best opportunities for philanthropic support to fuel this bold new vision: student access and success, innovations in teaching and learning, and community partnerships. Student Access and Success strives to ensure a Butler education is in reach of all who seek it, regardless of financial circumstances. Through Butler Beyond, we aspire to raise $55 million for student scholarships. In support of this ambitious goal, we have established the Butler Fund for Student Scholarships, and we invite everyone who is passionate about solving the challenges of student access and success in higher education to contribute to this new fund. Innovations in Teaching and Learning seeks to provide the resources necessary for our incredible faculty to deliver the best education possible for our students. And that is why we aspire to raise $20 million for faculty support in the public phase of this campaign. To achieve this goal, we have established the Faculty Opportunity Fund, and we invite everyone who is passionate about equipping our dedicated faculty with best-in-class resources to contribute to this new fund. And finally, community partnerships will build philanthropic relationships that both provide transformational experiences for our students and align with community needs so that Butler continues to lift up our city and indeed our entire state. And that is why we aspire to raise $25 million to create transformational community partnerships and seed innovative new models for delivering a Butler education. In support of this ambitious goal, we have established the Transformation Fund, and we invite everyone who is driven to create the future of education, of higher education, for the betterment of our city, state, and beyond to contribute to this new fund. Many of you have already contributed in this campaign, and for that I am truly grateful for your generosity. But every single one of you has contributed in meaningful ways to the Butler Beyond strategic direction and comprehensive campaign by what you do each and every single day advancing this institution. Working together, we will all contribute in extraordinary ways to prepare Butler for what lies beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that last picture. Is that behind me now? Oh, okay. Difference Maker Awards. Anyways, thank you, Jonathan. Again, thanks to the advancement team for all your work and all that you have yet ahead of you. So with that, I promised that this year we would incorporate the Difference Maker Awards into our activities. I am very proud and pleased to welcome up here onto the stage Scott Peden, Chair of our Staff Assembly, if you could join me, for all, and I really want to thank him for all the great work that he's been doing at Butler for the past 14 years. Scott's going to be helping confer these awards with me today as I guess I do the hard part. I'll do the reading, right? Okay. Scott, thank you so much. The Difference Maker Awards gives us an opportunity to really celebrate the talent, dedication, and care for students that our staff members bring to Butler University every day. I'd like to first take a moment to recognize this year's selection committee, Lynn Poore, who served as the convener, Lindsay Martin, Christy DeFalk, Donna Rund, Catherine Smith, Angie Hewitt, Wendy Kerner, Keith Magnus, Ann Crozier, and Chrissy Force. Could we give them a round of applause, please? It's now my pleasure to announce this year's award recipients who were nominated by their peers, faculty, or students in one of three different Making a Difference categories. One was Job Performance and Attitude. The second category was the Butler Community, and the third was Service to our Students. Turning to the first category, Job Performance and Attitude, the criteria are: performs an extraordinary act that results in improved quality of service or more cost-efficient service, gives consistently noteworthy service through determined and competent performance, offers inspiration and motivation to colleagues that increases their enthusiasm, commitment, and morale, and finally, assist fellow employees, students, and/or the general public. In this first category, we actually have two honorees. Award one, I'm gonna give you some facts, and you in your mind see if you could figure out who is the recipient. How's that? About our first recipient, one nominator said that the university would not be as well connected to its alumni and donor base if it weren't for this nominee working tirelessly in the background. She is described as having kept her department turning for 12 years, longer than almost everyone else there, frequently doing the work of others while positions are being filled. So you got some facts. She also took on additional responsibilities to increase the security of donors and the university's accounts and to help onboard new staff. This difference maker doesn't leave her job at the office either. She volunteers at homecoming and a conference, hosts a social club, has served on a departmental committee, and is an active Butler sports fan. Join me in recognizing our first difference maker, Bonnie Danison. Bonnie? Our second recipient in this category received 14 nominations, which may be a record. Unfortunately, she couldn't be with us today, but please join me in a round of applause for Priscilla Cobb. We have two recipients in the next category, which is making a difference in the Butler community. The criteria, again, are participates in programs related to the well-being of the community and aids in university activities outside of one's own department. Our first nominee was called a hidden gem at Butler University, a knowledgeable staff member who was described repeatedly as resourceful, inspiring, humble, and a dedicated mentor who was always willing to have authentic conversations. Her value as a partner on projects was mentioned by several nominators. One said, "For the longest time, I felt like I was working on a project by myself. Then I discovered that she was willing to be my partner. We shared key documents, she made promises to get work done on her own and delivered, and she helped me stay focused on the project. She gets a lot of credit for the successful completion of the project." This honoree has been instrumental in the creation of new academic programs, as well as in realigning existing programs to current market needs. She expertly facilitated focus groups to ensure we met the needs of online enrollees. She also made sure we had an evidence-based understanding of online curriculum design and assessment. Now she effectively trains faculty who are new to teaching online and coordinates peer faculty as mentors to provide ongoing help. Every nominee admires this individual's work ethic, servant leadership, and dedication to student learning. I suspect some of you have guessed. Join me in recognizing Mary Hines. Mary? Our second honoree in the Making a Difference in the Butler Community category exemplifies the Butler way and is a beacon of hospitality, say her nominators. She goes above and beyond to make sure people are happy. For example, during Operations Appreciation Week, she took it upon herself to make sure our second shift staff received their items of appreciation. Most of all, nominators said the safety of students, staff, and faculty are paramount to this honoree, and no matter what happens, she remains calm and provides the excellent service she is known for. Please join me in congratulating our next difference maker, Margie. That's as far as we went, see? Okay, so we know who Margie is, right? All right. If I don't have the next page, we're not going any further, I'm afraid. Let's see here. There it is. It's on the other page. Margie Zentz. All right. Category 3, making a difference in service to students. Our next category is I just said that, making a difference to students, in service to students. The criteria are supports student groups and or student services, contributes to student leadership development and or mentoring of students, and demonstrates responsiveness to students. This is where I have to be clever and go from right to left. I'm now in another country. We have 2 service to students honorees this year. Our first honoree, making a difference in service to students, measures her relationships with students and alumni over the course of years, not one-off appointments during a fall or spring semester, wrote one nominator, who is now a staff member, thanks largely to this award winner. A supervisor said, "Every day I receive outstanding parent and student comments about her work. Typical responses include students and alumni saying they wouldn't have been able to land their internships and post-graduation jobs without her, that she makes them confident they'll be successful with their Butler resources and life after college, even if they lose their job, and that she's their #1 advocate on campus." This honoree leads by example, a co-worker wrote, both for her colleagues in the office and the students and alumni she advises. They said, "We strive to be as competent and empathetic as she is, while carrying ourselves through adversity with grace, which she possesses in abundance." Please join me in congratulating our final difference maker, Courtney Russo. We have a second honoree that is not here, and without that second honoree, our laboratories would not run nearly as well as they do now. Unfortunately, she's not with us, but please join me in a round of applause for Tracy Mills. This afternoon, I have shared quite a bit of information on our strategic direction and some areas of priority for us in the next 1 or 2 years. However, today is not the end of the conversation. To build upon this session, Kate Morris, Melissa Beckwith, and I are going to be available on Monday from 1:30 to 3:30 for open office hours in LSB 234. So if anyone wants to continue the discussion, has any questions, ideas, please stop by then to see us. We're going to continue to add these types of sessions throughout the semester as we move forward. You're also able to find details on the commitments and priorities that I shared earlier on our strategy website, which is butler.edu/Butler Strategy. Plus, I encourage you to watch out for Butler Today for opportunities to further engage on as we move forward and on progress that we are making. I'd like to close today by unveiling our latest Butler promo video, which is going to be seen during many of our Big East basketballs. But I do thank you for taking time out of your Friday afternoon to be with us here today, and I hope that you have a great weekend. Thank you.
We aren't just dreamers. We're doers.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Good things happen when you unleash a Butler Bulldog.